My name is Tobias Malayan, and for my contemporary music maker project, I made an album called Metaphysical Phonics. I wanted to create a concept album, sampling improvised recordings from my friends and peers. The album will reflect themes that resonate with my time as a high school senior. Those themes were visualized in the cover art created at the start, of which sets the tone for the music. I want to become a hip-hop/sample-based producer following in the footsteps of my idols like Nujabes, J Dilla, Q-Tip, and De La Soul. So creating this album serves as a test/simulation of that career and a gauge of where I currently am at achieving my goal. The project is all about collaboration. The artwork is built off my initial ideas, the recordings are built off the tone set by the artwork, and through sampling, the songs are built on the musical ideas from the recordings. Throughout high school, I've neglected making music to make way for school. While I still wrote rhymes and made demos, I never got to really pursue the passion. This project is about letting all that go, showing what I got, and proving to myself that I have what it takes. I used all the skills I've developed over the years, and every trick I know about the sampling software I use. It's also a celebration of all the bonds I've made over the years, thanking my peers for always supporting and inspiring me. First, I worked with the artist to develop the artwork that sets the tone and theme of the album. Then I presented this to the musicians before they recorded their snippets. I then messed around with those recordings, making demos on my phone sampler, before fleshing them out on my Machine MK3 sampler. I initially wanted to have two dancer friends of mine choreograph a dance to the songs, as well as have the artist create new artwork based on them. But due to time constraints and scheduling, I dropped these ideas. They weren't that important to the overall product, just more ways to include and celebrate my friends' talents. When setting the tone for the project, I started by creating a playlist that the artist listened to while drawing. Most if not all of these came from sample-based musicians I idolized, such as Nujabes, J Dilla, Madlib, DJ Shadow, and the Avalanches. While most of them were instrumental, the songs conveyed strong, reflective emotions. I chose the songs because they fit the vibe I'm going for, as well as because I listened to a lot of them to help me get through high school. Alongside the artwork, I showed her examples of the art I want. A lot of them were covers to Nujabes albums. I described the art as very abstract and weird, yet conveys a strong emotion. A week passed and she created this beautiful piece of artwork. She explained that the art was about escaping reality through music and imagination, taking all the trauma and grief built up inside, as symbolized by the dark trees and lava and darkness, and letting your imagination flow as a form of healing, as symbolized by the beautiful steam at the top. While I knew I wanted to convey themes of growing up, this artwork really set the theme and concept for the album. I love the idea of taking all your built up stress and letting your imagination flow through the music. It took me in a really personal and reflective direction with the songs, and it's safe to say the album would be completely different without the artwork. On March 22nd, I got my first recording. This was really a test run to see if I was able to make something at all from the recordings. During IB Music, I had my friend JM, who plays a saxophone, follow me to the closet. I showed him the artwork and told him about the concept of letting all your stress flow through the music. He recorded 1 minute of him improvising on his saxophone. After he was done, I went to the back of the classroom, put on my headphones, and inputted the recording into my sample app, Koala. I then started messing around with the sample, chopping up different notes into different pads and playing completely different patterns. I layered different notes on top of each other to create chords. I created this dark and scary pattern that I knew I wanted to be the basis of one of my compositions. Later that night, before I went to bed, I started messing around with the sample again, creating this pattern to go over it. I pitched it up 6 semitones and reversed one of the pads to create this dark and scary hook. That eventually became the basis for the first song on the album, Life from Night. The test run went successfully, and I knew I had something special with this project. I realized, however, that I wouldn't be able to get the project done if I was present when everybody records. So I decided to send an email explaining the project, featuring the artwork, and a link to a Google Drive folder where I'd like the videos to be submitted. Got 15 responses back. I got them all at very different times. Some I got right away, and some I got a couple days before I finished the project. There was a wide variety of instruments. They were all in different keys, different tempos. Some of my peers didn't feel comfortable improvising, so I told them to just record a piece they've been working on. For example, my friends SL and AR, who play the violin and viola respectively, recorded a practice run of them playing Snake River Stomp by Stephen Larvin. I had to really learn how to organize the different files and be clear in what I wanted when they all had questions. While I made demos and messed around with samples on the side, I wanted to wait until spring break to start really creating the album. This was so I could get all my other schoolwork done and fully focus on the project. I finally had all the recordings, and I started inputting each of them into a different file in my sampler app. I then started messing around with the different samples, letting my imagination run free. I pitch shifted, reversed, time stretched, chopped up individual notes. I used every trick I knew. I eventually found three main musical patterns I liked that I wanted to base my songs around. Those are the saxophone loop from JM, a nice piano loop from my friend AL, and two loops from AR and SL's practice run-through. I inputted these loops into my machine MK3, where I created all the songs. I then took the different musical ideas I created from the other samples and found a way to manipulate them to fit the three main songs. It was important to me that each instrument was given a moment to shine in the songs, by either acting as a counter melody, a new melody, a harmony, a bass line, or just a cool sound to add texture. It was really fun trying to use every instrument. I had to figure out which song each sample fit the best, use all my creativity and imagination to come up with how it could fit, and use all my technical skills to manipulate the audio to fit how I wanted it to sound. It was also a challenge since they were all recorded in different ways, so I had to learn how to mix, use compression, reverb, and all that stuff. Everything on the album comes from original recordings except for the bass lines and the drums. Since rhythm is so important to the hip-hop genre, I made a clear distinction between them. As typical in hip-hop music, I used drum breaks and created my own bass lines through the bass synths on the MK3. I was almost done with the three songs when my friend SD finally sent in his recordings. I was initially not gonna include it, but I decided to listen to it, and it blew me away. While I asked him to play saxophone, he instead decided to play piano, and he created this really emotional piano melody and chord progression. He understood the concept perfectly and gave me the exact tone I was looking for. Because of how good the recording was, I decided to create a fourth song. I wanted to keep it simple, just adding in a couple drums and bass, but I came up with this really cool counter melody. I played it on my guitar, which is heard in the final version, but I really envisioned a violin play it. So I got my friend PL to play the violin melody for me. He knocked it out of the park, and this is really the only musical phrase that I had somebody intentionally play. I wanted to keep the song simple and was going to leave it as an instrumental like the other songs, but I decided to rap over it. I recorded myself freestyling and took the best lyrics and created two verses, talking about all my troubles and struggles with depressions as well as other topics. I recorded my verses in the basement and mixed it. I've never mixed vocals before, but I think I did a pretty good job. This was the last song on the album and the one I'm most proud of. I presented the album to my friends and family and showed my friends how I manipulated each of the recordings to create the songs. They absolutely adored it. I interviewed a lot of them for this video, but due to time limits I couldn't fit them in. Overall, I'm really happy with the finished project. Each of the songs fit the album concept and have personal significance to my situation at the time. At the start of spring break, I was coming off of a very hard time in my life. I was very stressed out, and due to a shortage in my ADHD medication, I wasn't properly medicated. It was a really dark time, and while some of my friends were confused on why I was doing schoolwork during break, it didn't feel like schoolwork. I was letting all of my pent-out stress through the music. It was a very healing and meditative process. I achieved all of my musical intentions and more. I want to say more, but I will now present to you the final product. Since the album is over 7 minutes, I'll be showing part of each song. I present to you Metaphysical Phonics. Now here we go again, all isolated. Battle within myself for my own concentration. I need to be sedated, cause all I see is the times in my life when I was elated. I've been calmly patient, always waiting till the end of the days of education. And now it draws near and all my fears I hear. Only time I get relief nowadays is through my tears. I still can hardly sleep. When I try to dream, all I see is my mistakes played on repeat. I've waited for this moment all of my life, and now that it's here, can I really sacrifice? Can I jump from the pier and not drown in my vice? Can I float in the light where fears are amplified? Cause I've dealt with these oceans of uncontrolled emotions. Always has been, common sense constantly broken. I'm hoping for self-controlling, trapped in self-loathing. The walls are enclosing. The stress has always led to thoughts of death. Don't know why I'm so obsessed with making everything perfect. And at the end, was it really worth it? How come sometimes I think I wasn't worth birthing? These thoughts that no child should ever think. When I come back to reality, I'm like, was that really me? Thinking those horrible things that I don't believe, like my friends and family never really loved me. Why the mind play tricks on my reality, allowing anxiety to control my tonality? Life with a mental illness is like walking on a tightrope. My cognitive dissonance is akin to a tritone, but without the dissonance you can't appreciate the consonants. So I won't succumb to the subconscious, cause even with all the doubt and when I fall out of rhythm, I got my people here to help me get back within it. I'd like to say thank you to friends, family and peers, from the ones that go way back to the ones I met this year. Thank you for everything, the songs, laughter and tears. Without y'all being you, I probably wouldn't be here. These songs you wouldn't hear. The world is so symphonic. Music's my meditation, makes me feel so hypnotic. The beats give structure to this world so chaotic. So I'ma keep living through these metaphysical